Hey guys, biracial Tiffany here. Today I want to get back to talking about the history of biracial people in America and also do a little, it's not a book review, but just talk about a book that has to do with, I'll still say the biracial experience, although historically speaking I think we would have to say mulatto. So first we're going to talk about Nella Larsen's Passing. It's a book called Passing. Supposedly, this is Nella Larsen. Not supposedly, I believe that this is a picture of Nella Larsen, but supposedly she did pass sometimes. Speculation has it from the Harlem Renaissance days. I just think looking at that picture, I don't really buy that. So I don't know, maybe not passing for white, but passing for Italian, Spanish, or something like that. It's the complete fiction of Nella Larsen. So there's another novel, Quicksand, which is really good in here too, and some short stories, and then there's a foreword and an introduction, so they have a little bit more information about Nella Larsen herself, which I think is very interesting. Nella Larsen's mother was white, and her father was black, which is pretty rare, I would assume, back then, even though it's kind of the other way around now. But in the foreword that they talk about Nella Larsen in, they speculate that her mother married a white man when Nella was like a year old or something, and that maybe they banished her from their lives because a black baby didn't fit in with their white life in the early 1900s. So that's sad. They say in the introduction that no passing novel can be regarded as anything other than a strong indictment of American life. People are driven to such drastic measures because of American racism and the need for economic survival. So that's someone's take on Passing. So in the book, I guess, how should I explain this? Let me just give you, I don't want to give anything away. I think this is a great book. It's essentially about, it was written in 1929. It's set, I think, mostly in Chicago. I read the book in its entirety 2.5 years ago, and I just have skimmed through it to do this because I don't want to give the details away. But there are two childhood friends, and they both are very light. One has passed into the white world, married a white man, has no children. Clearly the white man doesn't know anything about her true lineage. And the other woman is very light and can pass. She's the one who says she's passing probably for Italian or Spanish, or maybe people think she's a gypsy, but she's allowed into places where colored people are not allowed to go, but she has a black husband and black children and lives her life as a black woman, but when it's convenient for her to go out into the white world, she allows people to perceive her as white. So Irene is the one who is living a black life, and Claire is living a white life. Okay, so Claire and Irene run into each other on a rooftop, of a hotel, having lunch on a hot day. They're both alone. They catch up. It's great. We get a flashback of this, but the first thing is that Irene, living a black life, has gotten a letter from Claire, who's living a white life. And in it she says, "I am lonely, so lonely, cannot help longing to be with you again, as I have never longed for anything before, and I have wanted many things in my life. You can't know how in this pale life of mine I am all the time seeing the bright pictures of that other that I once thought I was glad to be free of. It's like an ache, a pain that never ceases." And that is what I imagine passing would be like. I just can't imagine thinking it's the best decision for me. And I don't have the option. I'm not saying that, I'm not talking about, I've been through this, but this is just, when I think about this, I can't imagine the better option being to leave my world and to go masquerade as something in a place where there'd be a lot of hatred directed toward me if they knew the truth. I just can't imagine A, giving up everything that I know and love, and B, going into such a hostile environment and always looking over your shoulder and always being afraid of being found out just for being who you are. Even though you are being who you are, probably, but they just can't see that other thing. I don't know. Anyway, I'm really fascinated with the concept of passing. So, this book is great. And actually, although they said in the beginning in the foreword, sorry, my videos are getting so confusing, that this, you know, no, it's an indictment of American life, blah, blah, blah. The person who wrote, that must have been in the introduction, the person who wrote the foreword said that this book is not really about passing. It's like a circumstance with which she deals with in telling a story really about marriage and infidelity. So it's a great book. It's not just about passing. But I think the passing stuff is really interesting. And here's another passage. It's Irene, who's the white woman who was living a black life, but she is, you know, taking advantage of the convenience of how she looks, and she's on this rooftop of the hotel. This is a flashback from the beginning. And she sees someone staring at her, and she says, could that woman somehow know that here before her very eyes on the roof of the Drayton sat a Negro? It wasn't that she was ashamed of being a Negro, or even of having it declared. It was the idea of being ejected from any place, even in the polite and tactful way in which the Drayton would probably do it, that disturbed her. And my last quote, because I'm not even sure this is very interesting, but I do think it's a book worth reading, and I just want, you know, I didn't know about this book for so long, and I read a lot, and I've taken, you know, like courses in college of African American history and literature, and this never came up. So, just in case no one's heard of it before, maybe you'd like to read it. I think it's very good. And the last thing, I think this probably is my favorite part. It's easy for a Negro to pass for white, but I don't think it would be so simple for a white person to pass for colored. Never thought of that. No, you wouldn't. Why should you? Like, who's trying to pass into the Negro world back then? No one. Probably, except for, I don't know if anyone's read Black Like Me. That's another great book where, as kind of an experiment, I think, not an experiment, but a social experiment, this white man does pass for black, and just to see what that experience is like, and that's a great book, and maybe that will be my next book review. Thank you for watching. I only covered half of the things I wanted to talk about today. I hope this has not been boring. Bye.